Dr. Taylor, are there any limitations to the POET chip? And what is the future of POET's technology?
POET is a gateway technology. It opens the doors. We don't know the end of the innovation based on POET, because once you've got optical capability within your chip, where you're doing wavelength division multiplexing and optical filtering, and it's really a question of innovation with new algorithms. So it's almost like, in 1960, asking me, well, what are the limitations of CMOS? You just say, well, it looks like there's a lot of really interesting things you can do, and we'll find out. You really can't speak of it in terms of limitations, because you're right at the threshold of something totally new. The future, I think those slides, the last two slides, sort of tell you, no one can predict the future, but what POET can do for the future right now is it looks very bright. It can solve a lot of problems, and I think there's, we're not going to be the only innovators. Once we get a chip released, some capability out there is going to be flooded with people coming up with, all kinds of patents on new things they can do, because they've got an application that requires something that we haven't even looked at before, and they see that they can use POET to their advantage. So it really is an open script.
Is there any new manufacturing technology required for this transition from silicon to gallium arsenide in the market? And how quickly do you think the world can adjust to this transition?
Yeah. No, actually, one of the unique features of the POET is that the tool set is pretty much synonymous with silicon. So there's very few procedures that have not been used before, that the industry is quite familiar with.
Hi there. Does POET have any competitors, and is it the only viable solution to the Moore's law?
Yeah, that's at this stage, I would say no. There's I don't think there's going to be two POETs in the world. There's only going to be one, and this is it. So however they do it, they're going to end up with POET.
Dr. Taylor, there seems to be a lot of industry attention on alternative materials such as graphene, for instance. Can you help us understand the difference or the difference approach? Are you more practical at this time period? Some of the other research.
We want to consider graphene as an alternative approach for doing logic and RF, for example, but not optics. So we can rule the optics out of that equation, and then just focus on replacing high-speed performance, existing high-speed performance with graphene. You couldn't rule that out, but there's so many unsolved problems or unknown answers for graphene that it's very dubious that in spite of huge investments of resources, that it's ever going to capture any of the market. I mean, all you have is a single high-speed transistor that is not something you can build in existing, using the existing fabrication flows. So I'm not too. I don't see a big future for graphene. Not right now. And let's give it another 20 years, and maybe something will arise. We can't rule that out. But the fact that it doesn't address the optical problem, and the optical problem is the problem. We can't go further without improved connections, and you can't improve the connections unless you can perform the optical functions, using the economies of scale that you have in microfabrication. So, intuition tells you that that's the way it's going to have to be.
Would you say the optical technology of today and perhaps in the next few years is up to the wear and tear requirements that might be inherent in an optical chip design? For instance, in a cell phone?
Oh, up to the wear and tear requirements?
Speaking from more of a practical as opposed to a theoretical
You mean you're talking about whether it's a robust?
Another word for it?
Oh, dropping on the floor, or you mean? Okay. Sure. I mean, that's the nature of solid state and integration. For example, a huge problem with discrete components, or with this hybrid approach of packaging is you have a micron tolerance in your optical alignment. You freeze that into place with some kind of an adhesive or some kind of a gel or something that fixates the location of an emitter to a waveguide or something like that. You can't do better than if it had been manufactured, to be self-aligned, for example. Any other way where it's done physically with mechanical constraints is bound to be more prone to being dislodged, and alignment going south on you than the integrated approach. Just no contest.
I know there's
Yes, Dr. Taylor, hopefully one more question. A year from now, do you see yourself working for POET or working for Intel?
Well, I hope we have enough pride not to do that. But,